Hey, Satsu, guess what?
What?
It's Tuesday! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, dope?
And I'm your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment. Hello, chat. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a good week so far. Have had a good Tuesday. Whatever you've been up to in all your lives and activities and whatever. I don't know. I'm just filling up airtime. That's all we do here. Thank you, tall person. Happy Pencil Day. There's a day for everything, isn't there?
Indeed, apparently.
Well, thank you, tall person, again. Happy Pencil Day. For all you pencil necks out there. Satsu, how's your day been?
Not bad. I got some things and some stuff done. I bought myself a new mic, so that'll be coming tomorrow. So I'm just enjoying the day thus far. The weather was pretty nice, too. It was very, very windy, but it was warm and windy. So that was nice.
As for myself, it was it's the end of the month. They're coming up on it, so it's going to be a busy next couple of days. Today was busy paperwork and spreadsheets and all types of stuff. So, but hopefully it'll go, fingers crossed, relatively smoothly. Other than that, I'm trying to think if there's anything else exciting going on. Not really, at least not in my little world, but in the world of news, oh boy, do we have stuff to talk about today. Oh boy. Are you excited?
Probably. Maybe. I don't know.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. Thanks for coming to the show, ready to go.
I'm ready to go. I'm just not ready to have my day ruined.
Oh, okay. Well, now before we get our days ruined, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games, hit that like button if you guys have not already. And I can see that many of you haven't because, why would you? And please share our stuff, share it forward, sideways, and otherwise. We appreciate you guys for letting people know that we exist because YouTube certainly doesn't really do that. With all that being said, let's get right into the news.
Indeed.
So the big story, I suppose, that came out in the last couple hours is about Representative Matt Gaetz. And Representative Matt Gaetz is being investigated over a sexual relationship.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Republican Representative Matt Gaetz, a prominent conservative in Congress and a close ally of former President Donald Trump, if that matters, said Tuesday he is being investigated by the Justice Department over a former relationship, but denied any criminal wrongdoing. Gaetz, who represents parts of Western Florida, told Axios that his lawyers were informed that he was the subject of an investigation, quote, regarding sexual conduct with women, unquote, but that he was not a target of the probe. Okay. That is a bizarre way to put it. Thank you. This is Kyle. Hello, chat people in Lawton. Hello, Kyle. He denied that he ever had a relationship with any underage girls and said the allegations against him were, quote, as searing as they are false, unquote.
Uh-huh.
That was a loaded paragraph. A subject is conventionally thought of as someone whose actions fall within the scope of a criminal investigation, whereas a target is someone whom prosecutors have gathered evidence linking to a crime. But during the course of an investigation, a subject can become a target. Yes. Okay. His comments came shortly after the New York Times reported that Gaetz was under investigation by the Justice Department to determine if he violated federal sex trafficking laws and had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a 17-year-old while paying her to travel with him. Gaetz alleged that the allegations were part of an extortion plot by a former Justice Department official whom he did not name. Quote, over the past several weeks, my family and I have been victims of an organized criminal extortion involving a former DOJ official seeking $25 million while threatening to smear my name, Gaetz said in a statement. This is getting complicated. Gates said his family has been cooperating with the FBI and said his father was wearing a recording device at the FBI's direction, quote, to catch these criminals, unquote. He demanded the Justice Department release the recordings. Quote, no part of the allegations against me are true, and the people pushing these lies are targets of the ongoing extortion investigation, unquote, he said. The Times cited 3 people familiar with the matter, saying the scrutiny was part of a broader Justice Department probe into one of his political allies and fellow Florida politician, Joel Greenberg, who was indicted last summer on sex trafficking and other charges that he stalked a political opponent. A judge ordering the former tax collector back to jail earlier this month for violating the conditions of his release. Are you doing something over there, or is it popping again?
I'm not doing anything.
There's like some static or something coming from your side of things.
I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Oh, great. Quote, I believe that there are people at the Department of Justice who are trying to criminalize my sexual conduct, when I was a single guy, Gates told Axios. Quote, I have definitely, in my single days, provided for women I've dated. I've paid for flights, for hotel rooms. I've been, generous as a partner. I think someone is trying to make that look criminal when it is not, unquote. Gates has not been charged with the crime. The Justice Department did not immediately comment. Okay. So, very convoluted story. And thus far, it's kind of a nothing until they give us more specifics, I guess. But here's the interesting thing. And it may just be a coincidence. I'm sure it is. But on the same day that this breaks, we have our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Eliza, do a blog about Matt Gates.
Uh-huh.
I noticed I didn't call it an article because Chris Eliza doesn't do articles.
No.
Now, I haven't read this, but the fact that the headline doesn't mention anything about accusations or allegations, I'm wondering, is it just coinkydink? Let's find out. Matt Gates has zero interest in being in Congress. Okay. In the before times in the Republican Party, getting elected to Congress was a massive accomplishment, a sign that you had made it. Spending a decade or two accruing the seniority and know-how to get things done and put your imprint on the nation's laws was seen as the highest of callings. Those days are gone. Now many newly elected Republican House members see a seat in Congress as a means to a more lucrative end, a chance to build their, and again, this is Chris saying, in the middle of a quote-unquote article, to build their brand, widen their fundraising base, and raise their profile in order to get the real prize, a well-paying gig on a conservative media network. Or a lobbyist position, or a corporate position with someone that they did. Yeah, okay. The example of this trend, example? Okay. The example of this trend comes in the form of a brassy and bouffanted Florida congressman named Matt Gates. Since his arrival in Congress in 2017, Gates has shown far more interest and passion in appearing on Fox News to dunk on Democrats than in actually trying to, legislate. Hey, Chris, you spend more of your time trying to dunk on Republicans than journalist?
Like this article isn't exactly that, but, whatevs.
To the end. Do you mean to this end? To the end. Okay. To the end, he's best known for his antics, wearing a gas mask on the House floor to make a mockery of the concerns about the spread of COVID-19 last spring. Then he is for actually doing his job of representing the people of Northwest Florida. Well, Chris, you're more well known for putting out splashy headlines that have absolutely no substance than actually, doing any journalism.
Yeah. Or any groundwork to back up any of the bullshit that you push.
And so it comes as no surprise that Gates, according to Axios, is seriously contemplating leaving Congress entirely for an on-air gig at Newsmax, the conservative cable channel owned by Chris Ruddy, a longtime ally of former President Donald Trump. Hey, you know what, Chris? If that's what he wants to do, that's what he can do. He's not required by law to stay in his job. And truth be told, Chris, I don't know if you noticed this. Most Congress people are not actually required by law to give a shit about their job. Because it's an elected position. If they do a bad job, they get voted out. Or impeached, depending on what the circumstances is. So that's not a vote in favor of Matt Gaetz if he is just a slacker. But what do you want? Are you going to profile any other congressmen or congresswomen that do nothing, Chris? Because you might as well start a series. That'll keep you busy for weeks and months.
I'm confused. Isn't this normally what Democrats would consider a good thing?
Quote, Gaetz has told some of his allies he's interested in becoming a media personality and floated taking a role at Newsmax, reported Elena Treen on Tuesday. Close Gaetz watchers... Who the fuck is a Gaetz watcher? Except Chris Saliza, I guess. Close Gaetz watchers. Honestly, until today, I hadn't heard Matt Gaetz's name in any real capacity since, I think, the impeachment trial or something. I'm trying to remember the last time that he was even on my personal radar. Anyway, Gaetz told former Trump advisor Steve Bannon that he would be willing to quit Congress to represent the former president in the Senate impeachment trial. Quote, I love my district. I love representing them, Gaetz said, but I view this cancellation of the Trump presidency and the Trump movement as one of the major risks to my people, both in my district and all throughout this great country, unquote. Whether or not Gaetz leaves Congress for Newsmax or some other opportunity, it's become quite clear that he has lost interest in doing the whole quote-unquote Congress thing, if he ever had any interest in it to begin with. Okay, and he is far from alone. There are a whole group of recently elected GOPers, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn, who are the same mindset as Gaetz. They view their seats in Congress as launching pads for broader careers in conservative media. Hey, Chris, why don't you look at some previous, Democrats who use their congressional positions as launching pads for jobs in pharmaceutical companies? How about you take a look at that, Chris? Or lobbyists? This is not, okay. Again, this isn't an endorsement. I think it's pretty stupid that somebody uses and just slacks off in a political position and gives lip service to certain special interests in order to get a better job after the fact. That's about as relatively corrupt as you can get in Congress without actually breaking the law, as far as I'm concerned. But that aside, what has this got to do with Matt Gaetz? Why is Matt Gaetz your soup du jour today, Chris? Were you just trying to pile on to the other thing that happened? Or was it just a coincidence that you released this on the day that becomes known about the Justice Department? It's very bizarre to me. Also, pot, kettle, black, all that fun stuff. Okay, did I lose a Satsu? Why did I lose you, Satsu?
I'm not sure. The audio stopped. I looked up and it said something went wrong with the page. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so I refreshed and here I is.
Viewer Bashman, hold on. Did they actually name a source? Well, he did name a source from Axios. It was another reporter from a different publication. So, yeah, Chris named the source of his own information because Chris doesn't do his own actual reporting or journalism. So, like I said, I just find it odd that a blog by Chris that has absolutely nothing to do with the investigation that we just talked about just happened to be released on the same day that the information about the investigation comes out. And it's like, Matt Gaetz doesn't want to be in Congress anymore. So I think, based on things I heard.
I feel like he could have got the job done just as easily by writing, just like getting this whole page set up and just writing, he's friends with Trump.
Yeah, so it's just a very busy day for Matt Gaetz, who I know very little about, except I know more about now than I did, 10 minutes ago. But anyway, I just found that an interesting little alignment of the stars. Not really news per se, except for that investigation part. But I've got a gnat flying around in front of my computer screen. It's annoying me. Go away.
Kill it.
I tried. I don't know if I got it, but anyway, moving on to, I guess, more pertinent news. It's day 2 of the Derek Shalvin trial. Did I get you? God damn it. Got right in my face. I hate that.
Oh yeah, I can't stand that shit.
It's like I'm leaning on my microphone and somebody's right between me and my microphone. Like, bastard. Firefighter, 9-year-old, and teens give powerful testimony in Derek Chauvin trial. Okay. A professional firefighter felt scared. An off-duty firefighter felt desperate. A high school student felt threatened. And a 9-year-old girl felt sad and kind of mad.
What?
So, wait, okay, and admittedly, I didn't watch the footage, and maybe the articles say otherwise. How are people's feelings evidence in a murder trial?
I'm a little confuzzled by all that.
So the prosecution's opening salvo is emotionally charged witness testimony.
Sounds about right.
Okay. Feelings of horror and fear were recalled in a Minneapolis court Tuesday as a series of bystanders testified about what it was like to witness George Floyd slowly die under the knee of former police officer Derek Chauvin last May. Okay. 6 bystanders testified on the second day of Chauvin's criminal trial. A 9-year-old girl, 3 high school students, a mixed martial arts fighter, and a Minneapolis firefighter. Okay. All arrived at the scene hoping to buy snacks from a corner store or looking to get fresh air, only to witness a man's last breaths. Quote, I was sad and kind of mad, the 9-year-old testified. Quote, because I felt like he was stopping his breathing and it was kind of like hurting him, unquote. The MMA fighter, Donald Wynn Williams II, testified that he was so disturbed by what he saw that he called 911 to report it. Quote, I called the police on the police, he said. I believed I witnessed a murder, unquote. Minneapolis firefighter and certified EMT Genevieve Hansen, who was out for a walk on her day off, testified she wanted to render aid to Floyd and repeatedly asked police to check for a pulse. They refused. Quote, I tried calm reasoning. I tried to be assertive. I pled and was desperate, she testified. I was desperate to give help, unquote. Okay, now that testimony could lend to categorizing the police's actions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that one is the first one out of those 3 so far that actually seems pertinent. If she actually communicated with the officers and they refused any medical assistance. She too called 911 afterward to report what police had done. Her call was the 3rd such report. In addition to Williams, I don't think you capitalized the word after the semicolon there. In addition to Williams, a Minneapolis 911 dispatcher who saw the arrest on a live video feed testified Monday that she alerted a police sergeant. The bystanders' harrowing testimony furthered the prosecution's opening pitch to jurors, which focused on video of the 9 minutes and 29 seconds that Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck. Quote, you can believe your eyes that it's a homicide, prosecuting attorney Jerry Blackwell said Monday. You can believe your eyes, unquote. What does the medical examiner say? Because here's the thing, and I don't remember all the details, but I seem to recall there was some contention over whether or not the cause of death was asphyxiation. Because if the cause of death wasn't asphyxiation, then the kneeling didn't kill him.
Yeah. The one thing, though, that I keep ending up pointing out is people are like, yeah, but I'm like, I mean, that still doesn't justify kneeling on some dude's neck who's restrained for 9 minutes.
I'm talking about in the legal sense, saying that this is a homicide versus this is, manslaughter or an inadvertent death or something. Because to say this is a homicide, I guess, okay.
Well,
legal versus technical. I suppose if you kill another person, it is a homicide, whether it's self-defense or otherwise. I guess.
Well, that's what I was saying too.
Yeah.
Like, if you asked a person on a normal day, without context, hey, what do you think would happen to you if I kneeled on your throat for 9 whole minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably die. Like, that's why else would you do that if you aren't trying to kill me?
Defense attorney Eric Nelson argued that the case was more complicated than just that video. He said Shalvin was following his police use of force training and argued Floyd's cause of death was a combination of drug use and pre-existing health issues. He also said that the bystanders morphed into a threatening crowd, which distracted the officers. In contentious cross-examinations Tuesday of Williams and Hansen, he tried to get them to admit they and the crowd were angry. Shalvin, 45, has pleaded not guilty to charges of second-degree and unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. His trial comes 10 months after Floyd's death sparked a summer of protest, unrest, and a societal reckoning with America's past and present of anti-Black racism and aggressive policing. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, attendance is strictly limited inside the courtroom. The trial is being broadcast live in its entirety, giving the public a rare peek into the most important case of the Black Lives Matter era. The Black Lives Matter era. Is that what we're in?
Apparently.
Okay, well, the 911 operator who saw the stuff happening on camera and could testify to it made sense. The 9-year-old, no idea what that had to do with anything. The MMA fighter, no idea what that had to do with anything. The EMT, yeah, okay, that testimony made a little bit of sense as to motive or reckless endangerment, that kind of thing. So I'm not quite sure about the other two witnesses. Virgil G, thank you so much. He died from overdose. His neck is absolutely irrelevant. Well, like I say, I do not claim to know all the legal technicalities of what qualifies for unintentional murder, third-degree murder, or second-degree manslaughter. So I don't know if what happened checks those boxes or not. That's what the trial's for. I'm just more a bit perplexed by the choice of witnesses and what they actually had to contribute to the case against the officer.
Yeah, and when it comes to that point, I don't care. I don't care what actually ended up killing him at the end of the day, unless it's legal and it has something to do with the charges or whatever. The fact of the matter is he knelt on that dude's neck for 9 minutes, and there is nothing you can say, no justification you can make, no reason you can give me that was justified or reasonable in any context. Like it's just not.
Yeah. So. the length of time alone is. Yeah, it's hard to find any excuse for that makes any sense in reality.
Yeah, so for the charges, based on whatever, they're going to have to charge him for whatever the definitive results are of how exactly he died and charge him accordingly. But he was in the wrong period. There's no conversation really about that in my mind. So
I finally got that nap.
You finally got him.
I muted my mic and I got him. God, that was annoying. He was all over the place. He was like, get out of get. Okay. Let's see. Model Winter says, Scribe like the MMA is because of the hold technique. Okay. I guess maybe, but wouldn't you want if it's just being able to see what happened, everybody saw it, you could find any medical expert to come in and give testimony to that, but okay, well, either way, they didn't mention that in the article. Thank you, Mike R. Pretty sure he was going through excited delirium. Who, Shalvin or Floyd? I don't know. Clarify, Mike R. I didn't want to take that out of context. Let's see. Thank you again, Virgil D. Sorry, Satsu, you're wrong. It was police procedure. Yeah, but 9 minutes of it?
Look, find me the line that says that a man who is restrained and being held down by several officers, you are required to kneel on his neck for 9 minutes. And we can talk about it. As long as you show it to me and it says that that's a reasonable thing to do, then we're good to go.
Mike R. said Floyd. Okay, excited delirium. Well, I mean, there's a lot more to the whole, like how he ended up on the ground in the first place and all that is relevant, and I'm curious to see how that.
Right, restraining him and getting him down to the position where you got him pinned down or whatever is fine. Like whatever you need to do to restrain the subject, but once he's restrained, I'm still trying to find logic. Yeah, in kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes.
That's going to be up to the defense to give their argument when the time comes. I'm just curious about the opening salvo of the prosecution's case. Mm-hmm. But I guess we'll see as they get into it. Thank you, Puddock. Pay this settlement to the Nat's family and don't tell them it was a justifiable homicide.
Right.
Yes. R.I.P. Nat. I'm not, I might go after gnats, but I didn't go after a bat like certain monkeys I know. Anyway, and thank you, Connor Johnson. Good evening, guys. I'd like to ask, what are your thoughts on the classic children's television series Reading Rainbow? I used to love it as a child. Well, Satsu, did you ever watch Reading Rainbow?
Yes, I've seen it several times, actually.
Butterflies in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere.
Copyright strike.
Copyright strike. La la la. LeVar Burton. Okay. If you can't tell, I watched my fair share of Reading Rainbow when I was growing up. My favorite, the episodes that always stick out in my mind, there's two. There's one where he visited Blackstone the magician, because I was really into magic as a kid. And so like Houdini and Blackstone and David Copperfield and all those guys. Yeah, so when he went to visit Harry Blackstone, I thought that was great. And then there's one where he went to like an old timey town kind of setup thing where he actually had to go, and he taught us about what bartering was. And so he like went to a shop, and he wanted, I think it was like a pair of gloves or something. And he's like, he takes out his wallet and he's like, we don't do money here. We trade, we barter. And he's like, oh, and so he like brings out like cheese wheel or something and like trades it for a pair of gloves or whatever. And I was like, that's so cool. I love it. But no, I love Reading Rainbow. LeVar Burton is like, he's one of those like living saint type people, And when they did the revival, not a few years ago, I immediately donated to it. And I got like, out of my Kickstarter thing, I got like 2 free, like whatever they call like keys to Reading Rainbow content or whatever that they were going to do the new series or whatever. And I gave them to parents I knew who had small children so they could go have Reading Rainbow. I did keep the mug they sent me. I got my Reading Rainbow mug in my closet or my cupboard or whatever. Thank you, Virgil G. Police procedure for excited delirium. You're absolutely required to restrain the suspect until EMTs arrive. The approved restraint is a knee in the neck.
Was it stated in the police report that that's what he had? I don't know. I can't remember the.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Until EMTs arrive. Okay. Well, like I say, I'll be curious to see what the defense's recitation of that is. Anyway, Satsu, Reading Rainbow. What'd you think of it?
I mean, it was a PBS show. Wasn't it on PBS? Right? That's am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was a PBS show. And they were all very boring and put me to sleep, but it was entertaining when I was awake.
Okay. Well, I obviously have more sentimental connection to it than you do.
Well, I mean, it was a show that I saw when I was a kid. I like some of the episodes or whatever, but PBS got turned on when it was time to take a nap. So that's basically what I remember the most about PBS. Is it making me sleepy as fuck?
Alrighty. We had the dueling opinions about the whole knee thing in the chat. Mike R says, excited delirium is a fatal condition caused by drugs that causes victims to have superhuman strength while freaking the fuck out. And Keldrick says, no amount of drugs makes Officer Shalvin's actions justifiable. I'm open to a reasonable explanation. And of course, that's going to be on the defense to do. But even if it was his training, 9 minutes is more than excessive for what he was doing. But again, in a legal sense, I don't know what that means. In a reasonable, like objective observation sense, there were other ways that could have been done without putting his neck and his head and everything else in that much danger, let's say, of injury. So,
well, I just didn't see the massive struggling and the superhuman strength of him trying to rip dude off of him. I didn't see any of that. So, I like watching the video. The only struggling that was really showed was him trying to breathe when he was saying that he couldn't. Outside of that, like I didn't see the I guess I don't know what the condition looks like. I guess like I don't know.
Yeah, and
but he looked pretty calm to me.
The other thing too, and again, I don't know police procedure or anything else, but at a certain point, if you got like, what was it, 5 or 6 officers there?
Yeah, it was like
Like
4 dudes there.
Yeah, you couldn't have like one guy kneeling on his legs and maybe one knee in his back to hold him down. Like, anyway, I don't know. I'm not an expert. This is what the trial's there for. It's for the experts to figure it out in the jury. There's a lot of things there that I could. Now, does any of that amount to a charge of murder?
Yeah.
That one I can't say. I don't know if that qualifies as murder. Reckless endangerment, perhaps. I don't know. But out and out, like intentional. Of course, I don't know if they have to prove intent in Minneapolis. Either way, but intentional, like homicide. He was intending to kill this man. That was his intention. I don't know if they bridge that gap. I don't know if they can get there. All things considered, because of the actions of the officers prior to him being on the ground showed there was not an intent to do him harm. They were trying to get him into the car, and he would not cooperate.
Right.
So trying to bridge that to say that there was an intentional act to take this man's life, that's going to be a real uphill battle for the prosecution. But that's up to them.
Yeah, and I'm willing to be like, I'm telling y'all how I feel about the situation. I'm 100%, accepting of the fact that I could be very wrong. I'm not telling you that my opinion is correct and yours is incorrect. I'm telling you how I feel about the situation, and that's just how I feel. So, as a layman, I think the prosecution has a high hill to climb to prove murder. But then again, I don't know all the intricacies of the various levels of crimes he's being charged with. So it's entirely possible that negligent homicide or indifference or something qualifies for one of those things. And I think you understand, even if I don't agree with his actions, the prosecution still has to charge appropriately. You can't just lock him up. Maybe the department just gets sued. And that's the other thing too, that the factor of this is that they threw so many possibilities at the jury. Right. Yeah.
That the likelihood that he's not going to be convicted of something is significantly reduced when you throw everything up against the wall.
Right.
And if the intention is to get him convicted of something to avoid the entire city burning down, that is not appropriate. You shouldn't be able you shouldn't be able to rig the trial to have a negative outcome for the defendant no matter what. Either it's fair or it's not. And if they threw every charge at the book down all the way down to jaywalking on the chance he gets convicted of something, they can say, we got a win, we got justice. That's screwy to me. So the fact that he's been charged with, third degree murder and this and this and this, like, okay, which one did he commit according to the prosecution?
They're like, I don't know. We threw everything at it to try to find out.
Yeah. So having all those possibilities in front of the jury, you reduce the likelihood of him getting off entirely. Sure. Is that fair? Is that justice? Is that appropriate? And if you tell me it's like, well, it's either this or, our entire city burns down, like that shouldn't be a consideration. If you're prosecuting somebody under duress, I don't know if that is a fair trial.
I'm pretty sure it's not a fair trial.
Yeah, but anyway, and then those are, and I'm not a mind reader. That's just my impression of why things are being structured the way they are. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's a longer thing for another day, and we'll see what the outcome is with the time we get there. But anyway, we're at the bottom of the hour, so let's move on to the wonderful world of MSS News. So, guys, if you have news stories you'd like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise to get to them all, but that's because I'm long-winded. That's my go-to excuse for, anything in particular. Okay, this one comes from Sean Uli, and already from the little blurb at the top, I can tell it's going to be a winner. Let's see if I get the right tab here. Paris Deputy Mayor. White people must be quiet when racism discussed.
Then how are they supposed to help and do anything about it if they...
Well, they need to defer to experiences of color and hand the microphone over to those without a voice.
So what's really funny about this, like, white people should be quiet when racism is discussed, and white people are like, okay, well, I'll be quiet whenever racism is talked to. Oh, really? Because you're quiet. Your silence is deafening.
Yeah, silence is violence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paris's deputy mayor has come under fire for calling on white people to, quote, keep quiet, unquote, during talks about discrimination, a move some say embraces, quote, racist, unquote, identity politics. Well, if you're telling a racial demographic to do something
based on their race,
based on their race, Audrey Pulvar, a 49-year-old black socialist, is that an official title, said white people who want to attend meetings where people of color are discussing racism should be able to, but they need to, quote, keep quiet and be silent spectators, unquote. Quote, people who suffer discrimination for the same reasons and in the same way feel the need to meet among themselves to discuss it, unquote, she said. So the correct response to this is to discriminate and oppress other people on the basis of their race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's always the solution.
Pulver's remarks have triggered outrage about the rise of what some believe are American progressive ideals in France, the outlet reported. Yeah, it's almost like a kind of a mental disease, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Valerie Precresse, I'm probably mispronouncing that, who is the president of the Greater Paris region, took aim at Pulvar's comment, saying that, quote, no one should be discriminated against because of their skin color, unquote.
Except the white people that I'm talking about right now.
No. This is a different person.
Oh, okay.
This is someone criticizing the deputy mayor.
I gotcha. All right.
Precresse said, quote, there is no such thing as acceptable racism, unquote. Indeed. Former Prime Minister Manuel Valls said the comments embraced, quote, racist, unquote, identity politics. Indeed, they do. Quote, this rhetoric, always justifying the victim, leads to disaster, unquote. He told Europe One Radio, quote, do you have to be Jewish to talk about anti-Semitism, unquote? Over here, that would be the notion, yes. Meanwhile, President Emmanuel Macron has previously warned about the danger of, quote, social science theories imported from the United States, unquote, suggesting that such ideals could create divisions. No, it's not a could thing. President Macron, there's no could. It's a will.
Such ideologies are designed to create division. That's what they're made for.
Quote, every day people want to put forward good reasons for dividing us, he said. Because it's profitable, it gives them power, it gives them control over others. Yes. Exporting the current ideals of the American zeitgeist is a dangerous, dangerous project.
Mm-hmm.
But with every Black Lives Matter protest in another country that we're seeing, more evidence that it's gaining ground, which is, yes, very scary. And so for the deputy mayor of Paris to start marginalizing people on the basis of their skin color, who can say what about what subjects? Have you looked at history lately, lady, by any chance? See what that kind of thinking leads to? Anyway, let's move on. Oh boy. So we have a litany of frosted glass options here. What do I want to do? Oh, let's look at this because, of course, it's medium. Medium. See, every time I think like what the origin of the name of this is, I think of medium like a psychic, like a mind reader, you know, a prognosticator, con man, basically, you know. Let the reparations begin. Okay, with each humane act, rampant hate gets diminished. Each humane act. Okay.
Yeah. I feel like.
Oh, read the rest of the story with a free account. Oh, shucks. I can't read it. Frosted Glass. Oh, no.
Oh, is Medium like making you pay to use their bullshit again?
No, I have to sign in or something to read Medium articles now.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
I really don't want to give Medium any more information on myself than I already have. I woke up this morning to read the Evanston City Council approved the nation's first reparations plan March 22nd on an 8-1 vote. The sole dissenter was a black woman who didn't like that the money had strings attached.
Uh-huh.
And I get that. It's disrespectful, but I believe in what my brother-in-law calls success by approximation.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Success by approximation. So if the goal is to get the ball in the net but it bounces off the rim, I still get a point?
Yo, this is the very philosophy that liberals are pushing to combat the fact that black people are way too stupid to figure shit out on their own. It's the success by approximation, where it's just like, oh, if we just lower the standards or take into consideration that they're stupid and worthless and can't figure it out, then them not quite reaching the goal is still good enough, right? Because, you know, that's all you can expect from those darkies.
The soft bigotry of low expectations is the phrase that keeps
love
coming
it.
to mind. Even though, like I always say, we're not, in this instance, we're not talking about bigotry. It's this one instance where, like, you couldn't come up with a better, I mean, you could say discrimination, but it doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well. So anyway, Frosted Glass did give us a backup article, I guess. Salon. Now Tom Cotton wants to ban critical race theory from U.S. military. Well, okay, first and foremost, is critical race theory being practiced in the military? And if it is, it shouldn't be. What does it have to... Okay. Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas is slated to introduce a bill Thursday in the Senate endeavoring to ban critical race theory, an academic and civil rights movement that seeks to explore and understand the consequences of racism found in many American institutions from the U.S. military. That's not what critical race theory does. That's what, that definition is like the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. All those things are true because it says so.
You remember when this was called race realism and it was bad?
The bill would not allow military officials to teach troops that the United States is a, quote, fundamentally racist country, unquote, which defenders of critical race theory say is an important aspect of understanding compounded and systemic racial inequalities that have helped to create an unjust society. Quote, anti-American and racist theories such as critical race theory teach students to distrust and even hate their country and fellow citizens, unquote, Cotton opines in a draft copy of the bill. Quote, the United States Armed Forces should not promote or otherwise encourage anti-American and racist theories that demoralize and divide its members while undermining its mission to, quote, bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution, unquote. Cotton enjoyed a moment of particular notoriety last year after he published an op-ed in the New York Times urging then-President Trump to send the military into American cities to quell Black Lives Matter protests. The resulting controversy led to the resignation of the Times editorial page editor.
Oh yeah, he sent them in to quell protests, not literal burning cities.
And then when Ted Wheeler in Portland had to call on federal troops to come and try to lay down the law because things were getting out of hand, that was the wrong thing to do.
I guess so.
Loyola Law School professor Priscilla Oken explained to Time last year that critical race theory attempts to make society more just and inclusive by examining the country's racial divisions and understanding how historical racism impacts minorities in the country today. In other words, anybody who is white must suffer the punishment of people from hundreds of years ago that did bad things, and all minorities can't be expected to achieve anything on their own because white people obviously have power because they're white. That's how we make a more just and inclusive society. Thank you, Ebony Williams. How's it going with the pair? Well, it goes okay, although things like this are frustrating to read because somebody's trying to put a sugar coating on a pile of crap. Critical race theory is just racism. That's all it is. It is hate mongering and racism tied up in pseudo-academic intellectual nonsense. It doesn't cure anything. It's not helping anything. It's not fixing anything. It's not being critical about history or anything else. It's setting a narrative of division and power games and hate. It's divvying people up on the basis of race. That's all it is. It's right in the name. You know, a race theory. And race defines what about a person? That's what I'll always come down to with these things. Tell me what race says about the character of a person. And if you can tell me that, I know what kind of person I am talking to. It's very simple. Very, very simple. They try to make it all complex and try to make it sound all intellectual and everything, all academic and intellectual. Yeah, no. Thank you again, Ebony Williams. Hi, Satsu. Big heart. Hi, Satsu.
Hello.
Hello.
It's so weird too, because like, you know, if you're talking to the right person and you're asking them like, you know, what is it that defines, you know, that about your race that defines you or whatever. In the right context, they would say nothing. Like I'm an individual person. You know, I am who I am. My skin color has nothing to do with who I am on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the very next breath, they'll tell you again, like, it means everything. It's everything. It's my whole self and being. It's a part of my the fiber of what makes me me. And I'm just like, how can it be both at the same time?
Racial identitarianism is not a valid philosophy. It just isn't. You know, full stop right there. Racial identitarianism. It doesn't matter what race you're talking about. Racial identitarianism is not a valid philosophy in any way, shape, or form. Race says nothing about who you are. Race does not define the quality of your being. Race does not define your worth. It does not define your potential outcome, and on and on and on. People who tell you that it does, people who preach that these things are who they are, and so on and so forth. I've talked about this many, many times. It's the best example I have at hand. There is a book I bought back in the 90s, and I have it on the shelf over there in the other room. It's called The Gathering Storm. And this was a book put together by the people who ran the Southern Poverty Law Center at the time, back when this SPLC was actually a decent organization. The SPLC had this long-running project called Klan Watch, because they kept an eye on and kept tabs on white supremacists, actual white supremacist organizations in the country, and the changing face of white supremacy into a more palatable covering by doing away with the hoods and everything and the burning crosses and turning it into more of a social movement than a club of out and out, frothing racists. And one of the things that book talked about at the time and warned about, because this was in the aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing, where a lot of the militia movements and everything else were based on or fueled by these white supremacist groups, white identitarian groups. The thing the book warned about was the rise of white identitarianism and the dangers of collectivized hatred based on race, and also collectivized sense of belonging based on race.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that book and you listen to the speeches that they chronicle in there, where they had hidden microphones and they went to these meetings without anybody knowing and got the speeches of these guys, you take those speeches and turn them around and just replace, white with black or whatever. I would challenge anybody to say that that's not the same kind of rhetoric we're getting every day now that we're told is valid and virtuous and something that has to be listened to.
Yeah.
You listen to those speeches, you might as well call what those guys were doing at those rallies critical race theory, because it's the same notion. Racial identitarianism is not a valid philosophy, full stop. Real quick. Thank you, Devil Fruit Zero. The BS shows that they struggled due to melanin. I guess. I mean, that's the theory. And thank you, Ebony Williams. Preach. Well, I'm just saying. It's a simple sort of mental find and replace. Take the same philosophy of the people who promoted white as supreme and flip it around and say, again, race defines who you are. That bullshit.
Yeah, and that's why I said, look, man, I would love for this to be a possibility. Like, if we ever get to the point to where, like, something like this could happen, I would like the most racist person you can find from back then, and the most, like, activist, like, full front Black Lives Matter person, or just, black activists you can find, and have them both listen to the rhetoric that's being pushed without context and tell me which one will be like, wow, that's me, that's our stuff. It ain't gonna be the activists. It's not going to be them. They're not gonna be like, oh, no. They're gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit? That's your people's.
Cotton isn't the first Republican trying to destroy the critical race theory movement or its ideas, and surely won't be the last. Well, I'm glad. I hate to tell you this because it was not that long ago where I thought that anything Republican was pretty much poison. But at this point, I'm kind of looking past the politics and just looking at what is being argued here. And if Salon is arguing that critical race theory needs to be promoted and endorsed and moved and so on and so forth, I don't care if it's a Republican, if it's a Green Party, if it's another Democrat. If somebody says that's BS, I'm on their side because the idea is bad. It is divisive. It is bad. It is endorsing and legitimizing racism. That's it. That's all. Racial identitarianism is an invalid philosophy, full stop. Doesn't matter what you call it. As soon as you start telling me that I need to look at or evaluate people on the basis of their skin color, you're done. However much gobbledygook you wrap it in, you're done. That's it. Anyway, I could go on, but why bother? Moving on to something else. This one comes from Peter Stewart. If it'll come up here. One of our resident Canucks. Kids credit lessons learned from firefighters at school for level-headed escape from house fire. Well, good. Glace Bay, Nova Scotia, or Glacy, or Glacy. I don't know how to say it in French Canadian. 15-year-old Allison Evely can hardly believe what happened at her home on Monday. She says she was in her bedroom at about 11 o'clock in the morning when the lights flickered. A short time later, she smelled something burning. Quote, so me and my sister go to try to find out what's burning, and we go downstairs and see my kitchen in flames, Evely said. She said she knew she and her two younger siblings had to get out fast. Quote, me and my sister went out through my window and got to the roof, and my brother, he grabbed all of our kittens, and I grabbed my dog. By the time their mother rushed home from work, all of her children and pets had gotten out safely. Quote, nothing can describe what goes through your head when you hear that there's a house fire, said Shirley Evely. All you're worried about is making sure that the kids got out. My heart was just swelling with pride at the fact that I knew exactly what to do. After Glace Bay Fire Chief John Chant and his crew were done putting out the flames, he realized that the children escaped because they had put the lessons he taught into practice. Quote, I was informed by the older teenage daughter that it was because of the fire prevention programs that the Glace Bay Fire Department does in the school systems. Chant says it was one of the most gratifying moments of his 27 years in fire service. Quote, we always just wondered in the back of our minds, is it working? And today we found the answer to that, Chant said. And he says it's a lesson that may have saved lives today, but that he isn't the one who should be getting the credit. Quote, the true hero today is a 15-year-old girl, Chant said. The irony is their parents had let them stay home from school today because of a heavy rain, and it seems the most valuable lesson had already been learned. Quote, what he's taught them is what kept them here with me, says Shirley Evely. And on his side of things, they came here and responded so fast that the house is still standing. It's an amazing example of putting education into practice and quick thinking at the most crucial time. That's a great story.
Yeah.
I like a story with a good ending. Especially all the kittens and the dogs are fine, too. As long as the animals are fine. Moving on. Let's see. Okay, this one comes from Gilbert LeBlanc, or in other terms, Gilbert White.
You racist.
Translating that correctly. Yeah, that too. More charges likely against suspected Boulder shooter. Defense to get status on his mental health. I'm sure there are a lot of charges coming down that guy's way. Let's see. He's accused of killing 10 people. Yeah. The suspect accused of killing 10 people at a Boulder King Superstore is now also accused in the attempted murder of a second police officer. Okay. Let's see. The shooter, because I'm on the side of like not. I don't care about the name. Faced a judge for the first time Thursday morning during a short hearing in what that was watched by nearly 400 people via WebEx. He will continue to be held without bond and is charged with 11 counts. Prosecutors said Thursday they intended to file additional charges against him in the coming weeks. Yeah, that guy's done. I mean, short of them somehow proving that he was absolutely insane at the time, which is going to be tough. Since he like loaded a gun, went to a place, did a whole bunch of things that require a whole lot of like really deliberate actions. Yeah, he's going away for a very long time. Let's see. I used up a lot of time ranting about that one thing, so I want to move on a little bit. Ms. Slim 1 sends us this one, which coincidentally enough, since Ms. Slim 1 is a native German, story about Volkswagen, or rather, Volkswagen. And now I have to go through 17 layers of ads. Holy shit. Can I read this article now? Okay. VW accidentally leaks new name for its U.S. operations, Volkswagen. Because they're electric cars now, you see?
Probably because most Americans fucking pronounce it that way.
There's that too, but I don't know. I think it's the de-Germanization of the company. Let's see. Editor's note. Volkswagen initially said it was going to rename its U.S. operations Volkswagen to signify its commitment to electrification of its fleet. The company confirmed Tuesday that the announcement was an elaborate April Fool's joke. Oh! Well, they got me, because when I heard it on the radio this morning, I was like, I would not be surprised by that. That was the thing. I was like, that's a good one, because I was taken. That's great. Volkswagen accidentally posted a press release on its website a month early on Monday announcing a new name for its U.S. operations, Volkswagen. Yeah. Okay. Hey, you know what? Credit to the Germans. That's a good one. 'Cause I bought it. That's a total Poe. That was a total Poe. I bought it.
Like a fool.
I know, like a fool. A day or two before the actual day. All right. Well, I don't really need to read the story now because it's not true, but it's a good joke. Okay. That's good. Thank you, Ms. Slim 1. Moving on. Anybody else? Did one there. I will do this last one here, and then we will move on. Because like I said, I did go a bit off for a while on that one article, but hey, sometimes the passion catches me. Okay. Federal judge says race may have killed low-income housing in Warner Robins. Did we already talk about this? We did this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we read this one last night.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I guess I scrolled down into yesterday's stuff. All right. Well then, hey, there we go. What's this? 1 second here, because Oh, okay. Well, just because that one was a repeat, I'll do this one as the last one. This one comes from Pincalo Driving 8-Man. Second, HBO's The Last of Us adaptation to shoot in Calgary area, starring Mandalorian Game of Thrones actors. I'd already heard that Pedro Pascal was going to be, what's his name? Joel. I don't know who. I don't think this is news. I think I already knew this. HBO's adaptation of the hit video game series The Last of Us will begin production in Calgary this July, according to the Directors Guild of Canada. The Guild lists The Last of Us, which will star Pedro Pascal, The Mandalorian, and Bella Ramsey of Game of Thrones, as starting production in the province on July 5th and wrapping up on June 8th, 2022. Okay, so they're going for about a year. Okay, Calgary's Union for Film and Stage Technicians, the International. Okay, I already know the story. I mean, I've never played the game, but I know the story of the game through multiple videos and things, and all the stuff that happened with the sequel. And yeah, so okay. Ta-da! Is it? And who is it going to produce it again? HBO. Okay, so it's going to be HBO Max exclusive kind of thing or whatever. Okay. Well, there you go.
All right.
What Satsu, since you've played the games, what do you think of the casting?
It's going to be very difficult for them to really kind of bring out the uniqueness that the characters who played them in the games brought out of them, because it's what made them, the little subtleties and stuff. Without that, it's going to be very difficult to see these characters as the same people. Because I mean, what I do know is that the chemistry between the two main characters is vital. Oh yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to do the production, but as a complete amateur, I would definitely advise they spend some significant amount of time prior to production in doing rehearsal. There's a great, if you guys have ever seen the movie The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, I always come to this because it was a rare instance. So all the actors on The Thing, they went up to the location where they were in a film, and they spent 2 weeks up there before they even started filming a scene doing rehearsal. And in the course of that, not only did they rehearse all their lines as characters and everything, but since they were stuck up in Alaska or whatever, they just hung out, went to bars and stuff, and, you know, just kind of fooled around. And as a result of that, they developed a camaraderie. They developed a connection as individuals off camera that when you see them on camera, you get the sense, at least I did watching the movie, you get the sense that you're just seeing a slice of time in these guys' lives, but you'd still get the sense that these guys have a life together prior to the audience coming into it. You get that sense of camaraderie, you get that sense of familiarity and sort of fraternity. So in order to make this show work, if the two characters or the two actors don't have any chemistry, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and they're going to have to really sell, like, because I hope what doesn't get lost is the fact that eventually they develop the type of chemistry that's famous, you know, that they're famous for. I hope they don't lose that in the intro, because they definitely did not have that when they started off. He was completely uninterested in her or whatever the fuck was going on. She was cargo, and that was it. She was a job that needed to be done, and he was trying to get it done. So I just don't fuck it up.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. When you think about that, I think of like Logan. Like when Logan is first having to interact with the girl. And you know that develops, and you believe it because the emotions are so well expressed by the actors, and eventually you see that connection being formed. And so, yeah, I think rehearsal and the two actors hanging out off camera for a while and developing a rapport so that they can move from that initial indifference to something better. Because like I say, if that doesn't work, series is going to suck. Just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if all the special effects and action and everything else are right on par with the video. If the two characters don't mesh, not going to work. Now, the other thing I'm also kind of, and again, I'm not a fan of the series or anything. I'm just thinking about the problems. The other thing is, if they decide to add in too many other characters that distract from that core relationship, that'll also be a problem. Because if they feel like they have to have an ensemble deal going on rather than focusing as a character study of these two people, that'll diminish things. So if they depart the focus on these two characters to go see other side stories and things, if every episode has a B and a C plot that takes the camera off these people, that's a problem too.
In the game, though, there's a lot of situations that they can't really help. There has to be fireflies because they were the whole reason that she was being transferred, which means there's probably going to have to be Marlene because she was a key figure. Joel has to have a brother because he was the key point in him even getting out of the city to begin with. The one dude that they met going out or whatever, they can get rid of him. There's a few characters that they probably could drop, but unfortunately, the way they frame the story, they're probably going to have to keep a good amount of them.
Well, I also would be I'd be prepared if I was a fan of the game to see some characters combined. Some characters cut, or some characters merged with other characters for the sake of the utility in the story. But who knows? We'll see. Again, I'm not even a fan of the show, but I can already see like a lot of things are going to have to account for as they move into production. But anyway, that's all that. We're going to move on to the wonderful world of YouTube time. And thank you guys so much for all the articles. YouTube time. Let's see. I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. I did forget to mention, I think, yesterday, that Sunday I was on Ranting Monkey's channel for a little while. And he was doing a stream that was kind of talking about giving advice to people about becoming a YouTuber and that kind of thing. And I ended up on there with him, and we talked about different things that we'd learned, or different things and how we assess things. Like what do you measure as success as a YouTuber when you're not like some PewDiePie type level thing. What do you measure as a success? What do you mark as a success? Then Pat came on and P-Dog, and we all talked about it. It was really nice to reminisce about things because, it's not until I kind of pause sometimes and think about it that and we did this at the anniversary last month or whatever. But thinking about like how much time has passed, all the people that I've met, all the things that have happened, how much not just my channel or content has developed, but just as how I've developed as a presenter, I guess, if that's one way to put it.
Mm.
My sense of I guess comfort talking in front of an audience, which I never really possessed growing up. I mean, I was always scared of other people and everything. I'm still not quite 100% assured of myself, but maybe that's healthy. Yeah. So anyway, I forgot to mention that the other day, and that was really, really fun. And oddly enough, it was the first time since Monkey left Lords of the Night that I'd actually talked to him voice to voice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, it has been a while, hasn't it? Now, not to say I hadn't, gone on to chat in a couple of his streams and sort of like nudge, nudge. Hey, Monkey, how's it going? And come on.
Right.
And of course, he just ignored me because he doesn't pay attention to chat. Not like we do. But other than that, I'll be doing a TED Excellence on Thursday. I've already got one picked out because, man, like I said the other day, it's as far as the title and the little snippet that they give you in the description, it is definitely at least tangentially in my wheelhouse, given my education. I'll be curious to watch that one. And otherwise, I'm sure I will end up doing something on Sunday, but I don't have anything specifically planned at present. And I think that's everything. Satsu, what do you got going on?
Well, the only thing I spent time working on today was a promo video for the cooking channel. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to actually just make it the intro video, because like the intro video to my my cooking channel is pretty old at this point. So I've been thinking of making another one, and I'm like, this new one could be the intro, but it's not. It's a little more impersonal because there's not me actually talking on it. It's just like a promo piece, So I did some campaigns on that, and we'll see how that goes. But it's up, and nothing crazy or special. If you want to go see it, go check it out. As far as the gaming channel is concerned, obviously I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter and streaming it, and I got a queue of videos that I'm working on that I'll be uploading in the near future for that. And also, I'm kind of generating a small team of people to play. So if you play Monster Hunter, if you're interested in playing, or you were thinking about picking it up but don't want to because you ain't got nobody to play with, well, now you do. So give that some consideration, and check us out over on twitch.tv is it twitch.tv/ 2 Cents Plus? Yeah, where we play that pretty much nightly. I won't be streaming tonight though, because I need to take a break. I don't want to burn myself out, so I'll spend tonight working on some videos before I head to bed. But I'm planning on doing my first cooking stream tomorrow. I don't exactly know when tomorrow, but at some point tomorrow. So be looking at your notifications. It'll be over on Twitch, but I'm going to do kind of a pre-setup on YouTube just to let everybody know that it's coming. So get ready for that. And lastly, my gaming channel hit 3,000 subs.
Hey!
Yeah. It's felt like it's been stagnant for so long. Like it just hasn't been moving for so. I didn't even realize it. I had looked and I was like, oh, I'm at 3,000 subs.
Hey!
Like, holy shit. So that happened, and that was kind of cool. But I mean, I can't think of anything to do for it because I'm just like, even if I do make a video, like 5 people are going to watch it. So
play a game that is the third in a series.
Who knows?
3,000? I don't know.
But yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's it.
Okay.
That happened, and I don't really have anything planned to celebrate it or anything like that. So it is what it is.
Well, let's see. On to the wonderful world of internet fucketry. let's see. Well, so just random stuff they got here. One of those things where like someone liked a tweet or something and of someone who I've never followed before or seen before, and it's got this picture of this girl. She's cute, but it's just her sort of like posing for the camera. Nothing salacious or anything. But the comment on the tweet is, "I've still got you all over me." I've still got you all over me. And I just said, take a shower then, would you? That got a whole bunch of likes and responses and things. And it's kind of funny. Let's see. Another one of those things, a image was tweeted out that said, very unsettling threats. And then it has a list underneath that says, I will boil your teeth. I swear to God, I will fill your sinuses with urine. I will invert your rib cage.
Oh.
I will squeeze your kneecaps. And lastly, I'm going to harvest your toes. Oh, sorry, another one more. I will pour cement into your ears. And I responded with my own. I said, I want to fill your mouth with spiders.
What?
Satsu's having a nightmare right now because he imagines everything that is said. So
God damn it, dude! Why would you do that to me?
I know, right? Because that is I used that at one time for something, and I thought that was the most disturbing threat you could give to somebody. And so when that little list came up, I was like, oh, I have my own unsettling threat from a long time ago.
No, you know what I pictured too, you fucking asshole?
What's that?
I pictured somebody like laying in the box on a Fear Factor, and the dude's like, okay, we're pouring the spiders in, make sure your mouth is closed, and their fucking mouth's like wide open.
I have a much more dark scenario, but I'm not going to go into it. The other one, let's see. So Rachel Maddow, who I don't know, I'm trying to remember how this ended up on my timeline because do I follow her? Maybe I do follow her. Oh, I do. Okay, that's why. Yeah, because I truth be told, I do follow some people that I used to be a big viewer of Rachel Maddow back in the day. I really was. And then she went completely woo. Anyway, she put this up on her tweeters today. Quote, after the only African-American judge serving on the Seventh Circuit stepped aside in 2017, Mr. Trump had 4 chances to make a racially diverse pick for the court. He did not take the opportunity, instead naming 4 more white judges. And I just said the first filter in selecting candidates for judicial appointment should be skin color. Got it. Thanks, Rachel Maddow. Good to know that that's the priority. Good to know. Quasi YouTube stuff. YouTube has decided to release a new project in regards to likes and dislikes on YouTube videos. So the experiment is now you will see the like button and the number of likes a video has received underneath it. And you'll see the dislike button, which you can click, but the number of dislikes will be obscured. Now, I'm pretty sure those dislikes will show up on the YouTuber's own metrics, but for public consumption, it won't be there. And they said, in response to creator feedback around well-being and targeted dislike campaigns, we're testing a few new designs that don't show the public dislike count. If you're part of this small experiment, you might spot one of these designs in the coming weeks. And I said, was the feedback coming from the creators of the Ghostbusters 2016 trailer by any chance? Or anybody else who just wants, not to have their feelings hurt? It's bullshit. It's like, oh, protect my feelings from criticism. Oh, thank you. Or actually protect people who don't want anyone to know that people don't like their bullshit. Like the White House, like Kathleen Kennedy, like bad movies, or anybody else. Or hell, actual white supremacists. Actual white supremacists are going to be protected by this too, So anyway, thank you, YouTube, for protecting us from ourselves or something. And otherwise, yeah. Oh, I guess on the YouTube time stuff, I also forgot. I put together today's theme, which is Gladiator, if you couldn't tell. I made Satsu the Emperor and myself Maximus, because I thought Satsu looked better in fancy purple armor than I did. Not to say that Satsu is an insane tyrant.
Well,
he might be. But yeah, that's, I think, all the fucketry that I have at hand. Satsu, what do you got?
Yeah, I saw that YouTube thing, and honestly, I'm just like, I don't know. I sat there and actually contemplated for a while about how I felt about it, and eventually got to, I don't care. Because I'm just like, I don't know. Like, who is this for? Like, that's what I couldn't figure out. Like,
I have some theories, but yeah, a lot of people, the White House mostly, people disliking Biden's videos and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things I thought of, and a lot of news, organizations or whatever, their YouTube channels get disliked to hell, also. So I'm just like, is it for that? Because I mean, I don't think it really matters if tons of millions of people still go to that video and they still don't like it, and the dislike or the like ratio is still, or the like, I guess just numbers in general are still low. Then does it really matter that you can't? You could imagine that the dislikes are probably pretty high, even though they're trying to hide it. So it just makes people feel better, I guess, because like they said, the person running the YouTube channel can still see the dislikes, just everybody else can't. But the one thing that was confusing me is I don't. They were saying that this is to stop, like, you know, harassment campaigns where people go and mass dislike stuff,
right?
But there's a lot of movements that they support that specifically, and I mean literally, direct people to go do that exact thing regularly. Whereas somebody will just say something about another person and their fans will go do something of their own accord. And then the other side is like, literally go to this video and dislike all of their stuff. And YouTube's like, yeah, that's cool. So I'm just like, I'm a little confused as to how this is, or why this is even a thing. But
well, I never really understood, like, what does a whole bunch of dislikes on a video do to something? It doesn't make the video go away. It's not like Reddit where it gets pushed down to the bottom or something.
Yeah, it's still,
it's a feelings thing. That's all it is. It's like protecting someone's feelings from having hurt feelings. And I'm sorry, that's one of the things we talked about on Monkey Stream the other day. It's like one of the things you have to have if you're going to be a YouTuber of basically of any kind is you have to get over taking yourself too seriously. Because if you can't take criticism, if you can't let certain things just fall off your back like, water off a duck, you're in trouble. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Can the creator turn on and off the likes, dislikes option? That I don't know. I would hope so, but I don't know what YouTube's thing is. But even then, it's like, I mean, right now, people can turn off likes and dislikes already. They can turn off comments. And especially in certain situations, when I see a video's have the comments turned off, that makes me want to be more, I'm more interested in that video because someone doesn't want to have any kind of exchange. I've done several videos in the past where I've done commentary on them because specifically they turned off comments, and I'm like, oh no, you can't. Sorry, I'm gonna take my prerogative here, but anyway, sorry, Satsu.
What was I saying?
Oh, you were warning, like, well, who is this for?
Oh yeah, well yeah, that thing is whatever. There was a lot of people going back and forth because now people are claiming that Lil Nas X is like he's a pioneer for being openly gay, and
oh jeez, yeah,
the only person to ever do it.
Yeah,
nobody else.
David Bowie, Elton John, Freddie Mercury, on and on. Come on.
Well, I mean, there was also a comment where somebody said, "I'm very gay, but not this type of gay. This gay is cringe."
God.
And this chick responded, "That's a lot of internalized homophobia. You need to deconstruct, love. Wow. I hope you get better soon." Yeah, that didn't go too well for her though, because she got extra ratioed. But yeah, this is another one of those things that's happening where I'm just like, yeah, okay, I don't. That's a thing that's happening. I don't care. James Charles is. I want to say like the words. I want to say he's in trouble again. But every time there's a James Charles is in trouble story, it turns out that he's not really in trouble because nobody actually cares.
Right.
Because his victims are all dudes. So people are just like, oh, well, it's men. So who cares? And that's a bad thing, obviously. But this is what, the fourth time that James Charles has been called a predator because he fucking grooms and courts young men. And I just...
Yeah, I saw, again, one of those things that somebody retweeted, who I don't follow, but Trisha Paytas or whatever. She put something out on Twitter about it, and I was like, I don't know what the details are, but yeah, again, it's at least the third or fourth time I've had some peripheral thing tell me that James Charles is the most horrible person on the planet. And I'm like, okay, why? They never really specify.
I mean, there's much worse people in the world, I'm sure, but if we're having a conversation right now, particularly about one half of the Game Grumps about grooming younger people, even though his situation was he just happened to be talking to somebody at the time who was 17 and about to turn 18 in like a month, and then like 3 years later he did something with them and they're like, wow, what a predator. And I'm just like, I don't know if that really qualifies. But this shit is just blatant. It's like straight up, this has been, 4 times now? And people are like, yeah, well, it's dudes, though. Like, he's fucking over dudes, so nobody cares. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, whatever. So I'm curious, because Keemstar, he's losing his shit over it, and even Ethan is honking the same horn, and those two fucking idiots are always fighting with each other. So we'll see. We'll see if this one actually sticks, but I doubt it.
All right.
He's about as untouchable as Bill Burr at this point. Unfortunately, can't say the same for his victims. YouTube Rewind, it was trending again.
Oh God, is it that time of year again already?
I don't know, because I never really whenever I hear about YouTube Rewind, I never pay attention to what time of year it is. I'm just like, must be that time, I guess. Oh, you know what I think it is? People were speculating that this was the reason that they did the dislike ratio thing.
Oh, it's a preemptive move.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was peeping that. Because, YouTube Rewind. What else do you need to say about that? Fucking Will Smith. Let's see. What else did I see today? There was something over on Facebook I was watching that was questionable. Some black guy came out as a homosexual Satanist.
Oh, in solidarity with Lil Nas.
Yeah, he said, I saw the video, so now I'm now logic dictates that I
Oh, he's a convert.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works, right?
So I'm told by certain religious entities.
you just watch it and boom, you have turned now. Okay, well, this was just funny, and unless you know all 3 of these characters, you won't get it. But somebody said, "Fuck all of your favorite Pokemon. This is the best evolution," and it's Caillou, the little kid, the little annoying piece of shit kid.
Mm-hmm.
Evolves into the last Airbender, and then evolves into One Punch Man. And I'm just like, bro, this is actually perfect. But fuck that kid. Actually, I don't know any adults who willingly say they allowed their children to watch that movie. I mean, to watch that TV show.
Yeah,
because it basically teaches your kid to be a shithead. It's literally a show that's like a tutorial of teaching your kid how to be a little fuckhead all day, because that's what that kid is. He needs to be body slammed. Anyway, that's all my fucketry for today. Body slamming little bald kids.
Somebody clipped that one.
Look, I'm pretty sure most of the chat agrees.
Look here. Listen. Look here. And Sinatra just retweeted the Iron Sheik telling us, Vincent Van Gogh, fuck yourself. Oh, Iron Sheik. Never change. Oh my God. Anyway, let's see. We got a couple minutes. What do I want to talk about? You got a deep topic?
A deep topic.
Oh, what's Squeedus been up to? Let's get a Squeedus update.
Well, she was watching Bubble Guppies today.
Was she?
Yeah. Which I know that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Never. And me and Squishy were just kind of sitting, and the show was just playing, and I was like kind of laying back in the chair trying to figure out what my next thing to do today was, and she was just chilling on her phone. And the teacher fish popped up and was like, what kind of insect is black and yellow and has stripes? And out of nowhere, she was like, bee!
Oh, yay!
And Mr. Grouper was like, yeah, that's right, a bee. And she was like, bee!
Yay!
And both me and Squishy looked at each other like, oh, shit. And Aaliyah just over there clapping like, yeah.
Real quick, Andrew Joyner, thank you so much for the waving, leg wiggling lemon. Yes. Hello, Lemon. Well, good for her. That's great. He's a smart little kid.
I was like, holy crap, that like threw me off. Because I just didn't expect it. And she was like proud of herself. She got up and started clapping, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I did it. I was like, all right, well. And I was like, maybe it was a coincidence. No, like, no. She had to have seen this episode enough to, because you could see her like waiting in anticipation for that part to come up.
Ah, okay. Well, she's learning something. There you go.
Yeah, she was so happy, so proud of herself.
Oh.
She also she had a big fall today. She was trying to climb over the couch or whatever and slipped, because I was just like, she'll dance on the floor and then she'll get on the couch and start dancing. I'm like, no, you sit down or you're gonna hurt yourself or whatever. So she was doing her little, with her arms out to the side, her little side to side dance, and one step was a little too close to the edge and she just fell off the couch, and when she hit the ground she was like, ooh.
Oh no.
And then she popped her head and was like, uh-oh. And I'm like, are you okay? And she just like rubbed her head and then went back over and started dancing again. I'm like, all right, well, there you go.
Babies are made of rubber.
I'll tell you, man. She popped her head. I'm like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I told her best to stop dancing on the couch.
Oh, Squeetus.
Yeah, she's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Well, we can start a little early. So let's go on to question time, guys. If you have questions, comments, complaints, concerns, conspiracy theories, if you, I don't know, have ideas for what career Chris Eliza should really take up instead of one of these pretending to do now, put them in the chat now. If you have questions for us directly, please put plenty of chat marks after those. If you have statements for us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, ask your friendly neighborhood chat partner to explain it, and they will do so because everybody here is just so nice. Motto Winter, oh lords, would y'all try a pear waffle with whipped cream, a portion of peppered sheep bacon, and a pink glass of yak milk?
Yak milk?
A pear waffle. Like a waffle with like little bits of pear mixed in, maybe?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, portion of peppered sheep bacon. I mean, I'm not sure about the yak milk part. I can't say that the rest of it is necessarily terrible, though. I mean, if I'm reading it correctly. And I like a good breakfast, so
break fast. Yeah, sure. Try it.
Yeah, except for the yak milk. Sean Uli, now that weekends are off, what is the new LOTN schedule? Who's going to be missing a day? Well, I am. I mean, the schedule doesn't change. It just means that we're not on Saturday. So, I have 2 days and Satsu's got 3. That's all. And just like for me, just like old times where I only had 2 nights a week where I was hosting. So it's not really that big a change. There you go. Let's see. Frosted Glass, can we name your Nat Scribe? Because my vote is for Mundane Nat.
That's funny.
See, for those of you relatively new to either this channel or this show, this is how lore is created. Something goofy happens during the course of the stream, and then it becomes a thing, and then it gets worked into the overall tapestry that is this show and everything else. So there you go. I'm not saying that that's the name of the gnat, but a gnat being my arch nemesis or something now. Actually, I need to get Grizilla on that. Need to add that to the rogues gallery of the Scribe Light comic book. Instead of like a Gnat Man or something. Scribe Light versus the Gnat. And it's like some jerk that dresses up in the worst bug costume ever. Let's see. Cannibalistic Wizard. Chicken breast wrapped with bacon and smoked over hickory and glazed with honey barbecue sauce. Served on a honey wheat bun with coleslaw, potato salad, and a glass of lemonade. You can keep the coleslaw, but the rest of it, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I ain't got no problem with that.
All right. Frosted Glass, Deathstroke versus Taskmaster. Yeah, that would be a fight. I mean, I forget when it was, but I mean, in the olden days, Taskmaster, his thing was he had a what they call it, a photoreflexive memory or something. It's like any move he saw someone do in a fight, he could immediately like replicate. So Taskmaster could like fight like Captain America or fight like Spider-Man or whatever else, and he'd be able to have all these moves and counter them. At some point, they added a flaw to his power that every time he memorized a new move, he lost one of his own memories, which I thought was a really, really cool sort of like carrot and stick thing for that whole power. Yeah, I mean, if Deathstroke had to effectively fight the same repertoire of moves as Captain America and how many other dozen other heroes that Taskmaster's studied, that'd be a good fight. Because he always has a different strategy. Dr. Keeve, Satsu, have you ever seen the parody videos of Kalu grown up but still acting like a little kid?
Oh, yeah. Caillou, the adult version.
Right,
yeah, they're about right. Although, I mean, probably a while ago it would have been funny because, like, that's ridiculous. Adults acting that way, but I mean, that's most adults from this generation. So,
Mystery Satsu, any plans to play Monster Hunter Rise?
Tonight or just in general? Because I've been playing exclusively Monster Hunter Rise since it came out. But I won't be streaming it tonight. I'll be playing it tonight. So if you want to do some hunting or whatever, and you happen to see that I'm online, hit me up and I'll send you an invite. But I won't be streaming it tonight.
Ebony Williams, my lords, what do you think Biden's first State of the Union address will be like? Oh boy,
didn't he do it already?
No, that doesn't happen. I mean, the official State of the Union doesn't happen until the end of their first year. So, he had his press conference the other day. He hasn't done his joint speech before Congress yet, which isn't the State of the Union. Although it's functionally one, but it's not officially one, I don't think. Anyway, I think the first real State of the Union takes place next January, if I remember correctly. And, correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, what's it going to be like? Well, you saw his first press conference as president, and it's going to be like that, but for an hour and a half. Or less if they decide to police his time, because he's going to be fumbling and bumbling and losing his train of thought and squinting at his cue cards, and yeah, it's going to be. And I take no pleasure in the notion. It's really, really sad that we have what is effectively a fading out old man as our president. And it's one of those things where I imagine, again, this is just speculation on my part, at some point down the line, there's going to be a leak or a tell-all book or something where we find out all the crazy, insane behind-the-scenes stuff that's been going on to try to keep him propped up this whole time and even through the campaign. So it's not going to be pretty, I don't think. Let's see. Mr. Scribe, have you had a blue Hawaiian drink? Not to my knowledge. Motto Winter Sassy, how do you look on to the large monsters in Monster Hunter Rise? Oh, sorry, Lock On.
That's an interesting question because somebody had asked me while I was playing, like, hey, you change your lock on settings or something like that? And I'm like, I literally don't do that ever. I never lock on to the monster, so I don't know, actually. It's just never, it's something I've never done.
Pyrus Creed, speaking of Squeedus, how did you and Squishy know she was a girl, as according to CNN, quote, there is no consensus criteria for assigning sex at birth, unquote. Okay, well, CNN's a... if we already didn't need any more proof that CNN is just a total bag of nonsense lately, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. JB, have any of you ever been blessed by our Lord and Savior Jesus Allen Christ, better known as GG? What?
I don't know how to address that either.
I don't know either. Peter, Silak, Hades 313, are your cooking streams only going to be on Twitch, Satsu, or are you going to stream them on YouTube as well?
I will be streaming them over on Twitch, but I will be uploading them over on YouTube. I guess I could dual stream them, but like Twitch has been real iffy about that lately. So, and plus I don't want to, I kind of don't want to fuck up my, my cooking channel with streams. Although we'll see. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. You'll get all the information about what's going on. I might actually just do them on my cooking channel just so I can be able to push the monetization, because I'm not getting enough views to actually get monetization. So maybe to bring up my watch time, I might do some streams over there. We'll see. I'll let you guys know tomorrow definitively. Just make sure you're following my Twitter or Facebook or wherever the hell you're following me, and you will know for sure, because there will be a link going directly to wherever the stream is gonna be.
Sean Lee Scribe, have you seen the animated movie Superman Red Sun? I have. And I was disappointed in the ending. The ending in the comic book is so much better. So much more interesting. I won't give it away for those of you that haven't read it, but definitely read the graphic novel Red Sun. How it goes from the beginning to the end again is something else. I mean, otherwise, I mean, the cartoon was fine. There's plenty of good stuff in there too. It's not terrible, but I thought the ending was, not nearly as interesting and satisfying as the comic book. Let's see, Mystery S. G.G. Allen. I don't know who G.G. Allen is. It doesn't ring a bell, unfortunately. Ebony Williams, my lords, eat a worm-infested pie for $25,000 or slap your mama for $500,000.
I think my mom might actually hurt me if I didn't slap her for that $500,000.
Yeah, I'd never hit my mother even for $500,000. Not doing it. That's just me though. Okay, guys, I have no idea who G.G. Allen is. I don't have any context whatsoever. I don't know. If you want to give me like who this person is or what they do or something, but even then, I don't recognize the name. So, well, I guess there's no more questions. Show's over, guys. That's it.
Time to go.
Got more questions, or we just listen to the snap, crackle, pop from Satsu's microphone?
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, you're snap, crackling, and popping the whole time.
Am I, chat, or is he a liar? Please let us know in the chat now. Is Scribe a filthy, stupid liar? Please.
Mystery of Scribe. Apparently, you haven't listened to much rock music or seen much talk shows in the '90s, or is not subscribed to Count Dankula. I'm subscribed to Count Dankula, but again, I don't have any. I don't have any reference. He was a punk shock rocker. Oh, okay.
You'd be surprised how many people you'll ask me by name if I know, and I'm like, nope, never heard of him. And then you play a song, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know that song. So yeah, I need more information than a name.
Well, here I can prove that it's not my microphone doing it, Sat, so you can see that whether or not I'm muted or not on the control panel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, on the little window underneath there.
Yeah, I should be able to. It's not me. He's a liar. Don't believe him. I don't know. Look, I'm getting a new mic tomorrow, man.
I'm just okay. I'm muted. I was muted that whole time. I was just making sure. Let's see. Attack Alpaca. Speaking of snap, crackle, and pop, do you like Rice Krispies treats? Oh yeah. Rice Krispie treats.
Dude, we went to go do our taxes, and there was this really nice lady there who was like, "Oh my God, your daughter's so beautiful and she's so cute. Would she like a Rice Krispie treat?"
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I mean, I'm sure she would. Jokes on that lady though, because she did not want a Rice Krispie treat.
Oh really?
Yeah, she was holding it like, "What the fuck is this thing you just put in my hand?" And I tried to get her to eat it, and she was like, "No, I'm not putting that in my mouth."
Wow.
Like, yeah, she's like, I'm not eating that. I have no idea what that is. She wouldn't eat it. And I'm just like, this child eats everything.
Evan Williams, Scribe, favorite dessert? Let's see. Well, and only on the most special of occasions. It's kind of a thing with me. Chocolate eclairs. Because I'm sure I've told this story before. The best meal I ever had. Mm-hmm. I can say that there is a best meal I ever had. I was on a train with my mother and my sister. We were taking a trip on Amtrak, and we had to go a long distance to go see family. My mom decided to go on train because there wasn't any rush or anything. I think it was on a spring break. I was like 12 or 13 or whatever. Anyway, we were in the dining car. We had our own little cabin thing because it was going to be a couple of day trip, and we're in the dining car. And it was the first time I'd ever had prime rib. So it was I had prime rib, green beans, mashed potatoes, and for dessert was a chocolate eclair. And as I'm sitting there eating, like, as far as my memory is concerned, the most delicious steak prime rib I'd ever had in my life. And I'm sitting there with my mom, my sister, and out the window, the sun is setting below the mountains, and it's all like purple and pink in the sky and everything. And it's just that smooth sense of motion on a train. And like the food was great. The scenery was absolutely gorgeous. I was just at peace, like totally at peace. And then at the end, a chocolate eclair, which I had never had before, again, to that point. Like these are things I'd never had before, like prime rib and chocolate eclair. And it was just so yummy that from then on, whenever something like really significant, good or whatever, or I guess like I really need a super duper cheer up or something because something terrible happened, I'll go find a chocolate eclair somewhere, usually from hopefully like a French bakery or whatever, where they make them really good. And the custard filled chocolate eclair. Oh man. Yeah, I did that. I think the last time I did that was after I passed my driving test at 36 or whatever the fuck it was. Because I waited a long time to get my driver's license. And yeah, I passed my driver's test and went over to a French bakery and got a chocolate eclair. And like, oh, it's so good. So yeah, that's my favorite dessert. Long story, but there you go. Daniel Fulman, Scribe, you still jogging in the morning? Not the last couple of days because it's, like I say, today in particular was like really cold and I didn't sleep well last night. So I kind of overslept and I had work stuff to do with billing and month end and stuff. And a lot of the days previous to that, it's been wet outside, and I'm not quite assured yet in running in the perpetual dark on wet concrete because I don't, and there's because just when I was running before, when it wasn't wet out, there was lots of little obstacles that I could kind of see in the dark that I got around and didn't trip and fall or nothing. But I'm not. I might have to start going a little later in the day or wait until the sun is up a little earlier because, yeah. But not in the last 2 days, but I did last week as fairly frequently. Let's see. Peter Silak, Gigi Allen is best known to me for shitting on stage while performing butt naked and saying he will kill himself on stage. Spoiler, it didn't happen. Yeah, truth be told, it might be shocking. I, as far as I can tell, unless it's been some, sidewise thing, I do not recognize the name Gigi Allen. So, let's see. Gamer Valine says it's pronounced yogging. It's a soft J. Oh. Okay, yogging. Tackle Pekka, what is the worst storm you've ever been in? Oh, the worst storm. I mean, there was a windstorm one time that knocked out power for half the state or something. This is a million years ago. Other than that, yeah, that's about it. I mean, my parents were on a cruise one time as a my dad won a prize for his company or something. They were on a cruise down in the Caribbean, I think it was, or off Florida or whatever, and they got caught. They were hit by Hurricane, was it Hugo or something? I don't know, but they were on the ship and the hurricane passed by them while they were on the ship out at sea, and it was pretty scary, but they ended up being okay. But yeah, me, I guess I've been through a couple of electrical storms where power went out for a day or two, and that's maybe the worst of it. I think the one that happened not too long ago where I was out of luck for a couple of days without power was the last big storm I was in. Satsu?
I've been in quite a few crazy heavy storms or whatever, but the thing that I remember the most happening is we were at a fair. And it was one of those kind of dusty lot fairs, where it's the parking lot's got a bunch of dirt and sand and shit in it. So when we got in, it was kind of windy, just a little bit, not enough to kick up a whole bunch of dust. It was just a windy, really nice day. And we got into the twister ride or whatever that puts your it spins so fast your back's up against the wall or whatever, and it took them a little bit to get it set up, but once it started, we were on the thing and it went for a while and we got off. When we got off, there was, and I shit you not, a literal fucking tornado in that parking lot. Now, mind you, we just got off a basic fucking tornado and we're dizzy as hell getting off that ride. And it was the most disorienting thing that I think I've ever experienced in my life. I was dizzy, running around. There was sand, people screaming and yelling, parents lined up trying to fucking get them to stop the ride so they can get their kids. I don't know how the fuck this happened, but it happened, and it was terrifying as a kid. And to be honest, it probably was just a little dust thing. It probably wasn't a whole ass tornado, but I was a kid. That's what it looked like to me. So I was terrified. Yeah, that was not the best thing that ever happened to me.
Let's see. Gen T Maxi, do either of you gents remember the movie called Cool Running? It's Cool Runnings. The one with John Candy. That was also made in Calgary. Well, I do remember that movie. Jamaican bobsled team. It's based on a true story. Although I haven't seen that movie in forever, but
was it a Disney movie?
Yes, it was, or at least if not Disney, it was Touchstone, which was their sort of non-kid movie imprint.
Yeah.
But no, I would bet you that if they tried to make Cool Runnings today, oh man, it's all these racist stereotypes and making fun of Jamaican culture and everything. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Fun movie though. Let's see. Daniel Fulman, Satsu, does your new place share a wall with another renter?
I mean, on one side, because it's like a stack of a little group of row of townhouses or whatever. So we're on the end. So on one side, but I've never heard them, and I assume that they can't hear me. So
No, well, they did hear B. Ebony Williams, Satsu, which is better, Attack on Titan Season 4's opening song or ending song?
I don't like really either one of them, to be honest. I mean, I don't hate them, but it's one of those OPs and EDs where I'm just like, I guess if I was forced to pick one, maybe the first one. The second one's kind of got a vibe to it, though. So they're both equally mundane.
Mr. Yes, clearly Scribe was in a coma in the 90s. Yeah, I was totally in a coma just because I didn't know about some shock rocker who shit on a stage. Boy, oh boy. I had my eyes closed. I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't paying attention for some reason. Yeah, never mind everything else that I was. Never mind that I got made fun of by my friend for liking Tool. And I was like the nerdy little kid and everything. I didn't dress up I wasn't a punk rocker or nothing, but my friend, who was so much cooler than I was, he was like, "You listen to Tool, that industrial crap like Skinny Puppy." And I was like, "It's cool, man." Basically because of the music video for Sober. Man, that just blew me away, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I gotta listen to more of it. Man, I did not regret it. Yeah, Undertow, great album. Opiate, another great little album, and then Anima is great. I really like Anima, but after Anima, it got to a point where everything started sounding a bit too much the same until they got to Perfect Circle, which is a completely different project, but all the same. It was Maynard's, thing. And I still like classic Tool, though. It's so good. So good. Bastard B says Tool is overrated. Now I wouldn't disagree. Their original couple of albums, though, are still great. Still great. But yeah, no, I think Perfect Circle was a more interesting evolution of Maynard's style than the more recent Tool stuff. So yeah, I'd go with like the first three or four albums of Tool, and then jump right over to Perfect Circle. Peter Silak Hayes, I like Alice in Chains. Nutshell is one of my favorite songs. Alice in Chains, still one of my favorite bands ever. Lane Staley and his style of overlapping his recordings, his vocals. Facelift is a great album. Dirt is an excellent album. I mean, I'm challenged to think of an album of theirs that I didn't like while Lane was still alive. Let me just make that clear. Without Lane, I'm sorry, it just doesn't work anymore. Jerry Cantrell and Lane Staley as a pair, as a team, excellent. Jerry Cantrell by himself, not so much. I bought his solo album, what it was, a Boggy Hollow, or what it was called after Lane died, and no matter how many times I listened to it, I always thought this is half of the equation, and it just didn't sound right. But then you see Lane go over like Mad Season, and Mad Season's great. I think Lane just brought something to the songwriting and the sound of whatever he ended up on. That was just, you just couldn't replace it. You couldn't, no matter who you brought in, you just couldn't do it. So yeah, was I asleep during the 90s again? Anybody want to? Yeah, okay. Anyway, let's see. Virgil G. Tool is one of those bands I would like a million times more if everyone didn't try to convince me they were amazing. Well, I mean, I'm just telling you how I think about it. You don't have to think it's amazing. It's part of my growing up, one of my favorite bands growing up. Very first CD I ever bought, actually, this is putting me way back when, was Porno for Pyros. Because Jane's Addiction, oh man. Jane's Addiction was a great album. What Ritual de lo Habitual, or whatever it was called. That album's great. The first Porno for Pyros album was great. But yeah, those are the bands I grew up with. But like I say, Tool, their stuff kind of turned into a big sort of, as far as I'm concerned, audibly speaking, just turned into kind of bland gruel after a couple of albums in. So like I say, first three or four albums of Tool, totally worth it. After that, do Perfect Circle and just kind of stop there so far.
Dude, I was scrolling and I just saw this text exchange. His girlfriend sent him a picture of this purse. It looks like a designer purse.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, how much that is? And she says, $1,730. And he said, bitch, don't you ever in your life send me no shit like that.
Yeah. See, Zalbla, Maynard owns several businesses where I live. Yeah, no, Maynard James Keenan, that guy is just Renaissance man. Besides being like crazy rocker, he owns a winery and a whole bunch of other things. There's a whole documentary about him building up his winery. And I think he named it after his mother. He's got a lot of one of the best songs off of the first Perfect Circle album was called Judith, and he's talking about his mother and how she was still like very religious, even though like she was afflicted with major medical problems, but she still praised the Lord, even though technically he was at fault for her being in such pain and everything else. But that guy is a Renaissance man. Cannibalist Wizard, who won at the end of The Thing? Who won? Well, it depends. Do you want to stop at the movie? Do you want to go into the comic books? Nobody really won. I suppose MacReady was triumphant in the sense that he was the last human alive, because I sure as hell didn't think Childs was still human at that point. And I've seen all the theories and stuff that say, oh, he wasn't actually drinking booze and all. Now the breath and all that. Now I just know Childs was. They might have meant it to be ambiguous. Childs was definitely a thing at that point. Definitely a thing. Let's see. Virgil G. Scribe Light, not how you have explained it. If you had introduced me to Tool and it was just you, I would 100% be on it. It's the people that act like they can do no wrong. No, I can't. I'd never say that about any band. Every band that I liked in the 90s had a weak album here or there, except honestly, and I know this sounds overblown, I can't think of an album of Alice in Chains where I was just like, this is a waste of my time. There are individual songs that I didn't like as much as others, sure, but like as overall albums, I can't think of an Alice in Chains album that I didn't like. But yeah, no, Tool, like I say, when you can fall asleep listening to an album, right, and wake up and not realize you're on a different track, that's when there's a problem. And that's what happened literally and figuratively with one of the more recent Tool albums that I was listening to. It sounds like Tool, yes, but I can't distinguish this song from anything else I heard before. And the Tool's golden years were its first 3 or 4 albums. And after that, you can just kind of stop and move on to Perfect Circle, like I say. Let's see, JB, the shot going down to the cellar where Childs was supposed to be standing guard. Yeah, that too. Or the fact that his jacket was missing and then it was a different color and all. There's a whole bunch. If you go on like there's a whole bunch of fan theories and like the order of who got eaten first and all that. And some of those are interesting. I've watched a few of them, but ultimately, I think dramatically speaking, there was no way that Childs was still human at that point. So that closing scene was meant to be ambiguous, but kind of like Blade Runner, I think it's kind of answered itself, honestly. Pirates Creed, did the thing possess people? Never watched the movie. It absorbs and then replicates the person. So they look, act, talk, everything is exactly right. And there's almost no way to tell the difference unless or until it's somehow under threat. And then it'll bug out, literally speaking, and then start attacking to survive. That was one of the things. The prequel movie that came out in 2012 or 2011, there were so many elements of that were just completely wrong. Because it was supposed to be like, these are the events that occurred before the John Carpenter movie. And they introduced elements to how the monster operated that just didn't track with what we saw in that other movie. Like I don't want to give it away, but there's an element in there that suggests that someone who has been duplicated does not possess the knowledge of the individual they have duplicated. That they're actually kind of making it up as they go along, kind of thing, which is complete, absolute nonsense. As shown in the first movie with Blair, the Blair thing, he still retained all of his technical abilities and everything else, and didn't suddenly like forget how to drive a car or something, right? So, anyway, I could go on. Let's see. Hey, Camel, thoughts on Maynard's other musical project, Pussifer? I remember listening to some of it. I didn't pay enough attention to it to give you an opinion, honestly. It obviously didn't stick with me long enough to. I seem to remember liking 1 or 2 of the songs. Maybe I'd have to go back and review it, honestly. Let's see. JB did a college project on it. Got an A+. The beginning scene where the computer cheats him into losing to something that doesn't play fair. Scribe like, yeah, that whole chess game thing. I mean, it's a very subtle way of saying McCready's a thinking man. He's not just a drunk. That he has some idea of strategy and everything. Nice way of sort of showcasing a character trait without beating you over the head with it. But all that being said, guys, we're at the top of the hour and thus the end of the show. Woo! Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight and taking me down memory lanes of 90s music that I liked and other things. Let's see, Satsu, you're not gaming tonight?
No. I'll be working on videos and kind of playing some Monster Hunter on the side. Okay,
so yeah, everybody look at the description in the video here for which links to Satsu's channels, various Twitch stream, etc. Subscribe to all those, follow those, and follow us on Twitter as well so you can find out when the show is playing. And speaking of show playing, it'll be tomorrow night on Satsu's channel at the regular time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of The Lords of the Night. We'll talk about the news of the day, news stories you submit, what we've been up to on the internet, and then your questions and comments. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone is so well behaved, you have very little to do. And everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. I really, really do appreciate it. I think that's all the exciting stuff. Satsu, thank you for joining me as always.
Yep.
Everyone, your lives make us sad, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
And taking out my copy of Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, the romance and sexual sorcery of sadomasochism.
Sadomasochism.
Today's secret word is potential.
I have a lot of it.
Yes, you do. If only you would leverage it.